Hey there, this is your pal Pally, and welcome back to Git Er Raid. Warlords of Draenor beta testing continues on with some more heroic mode bosses. Rumble, rumble, toil and trouble. Here comes Tectus, the next boss in Highmaul. This earthy guy makes you think that you have him defeated, but then keeps on dividing to try and conquer you. As always, mechanics can change from the time a fight is beta tested to when it is actually released live. Before we get rolling, let me thank a guy I call Priestley for this raid testing footage. I was unable to catch this session in person, and like the pal that he is, he stepped up and got me something to use. Thanks, man. So if you take a look at Tectus on the surface, it looks like he has pretty low health in comparison to the other bosses. That is because he splits after you defeat him into 2 shards. Once you defeat a shard, it splits into 4 motes. If you defeat all 8 motes in total, you win. But the tricky part is each shard and mote has the same abilities as the original Tectus, they just do less damage. During the first part, when Tectus is whole, he will also have a few adds that come along to try and annoy you. Once he splits, they no longer spawn apparently. We'll go through the adds first, and then go through each mechanic of Tectus. The first add summoned is a Night-Twisted Earth Warper. These guys need to be picked up by the tanks and pointed away from the raid. They do a frontal cone attack that hurts pretty badly. They also throw out a vortex of earth that the boss can pick up to get buffed. The vortex can be soaked by players, but will reduce their movement speed a little. And if they take a melee hit, the vortex's buff will still go onto the boss. The other add in this first phase is called a Night-Twisted Berserker. He doesn't do much other than drop aggro and charge around at random people. Just try to kill him off before it gets hairy, and tanks just keep trying to keep him under control. So that's really it for the adds. Now we can dig into the mechanics of Tectus. And remember, all of these mechanics I'm about to talk about apply to Tectus, his shards, and his motes. Tectus gains energy, and he is unkillable until he reaches 100 energy and is channeling Tectonic Upheaval. This is basically a big earthquake spell that hits the whole raid. Again, it's the only time you can actually kill him, and if you don't before it's done, he will heal up some decent chunk. It's also worth noting that the lower Tectus's health is, the faster he gains energy. I think this is more of a convenience so that you don't have to wait forever for the Tectonic Upheaval to happen again. Next up, we have Fault Line, which is a cloud of blades that moves around. You take a crap ton of damage sitting in this, so just avoid it as best you can. Then we have Fracture, that's seen here on the ground. You get this little rumbling, and then it shoots up a spike that hits you for some damage and knocks you back. Watch your feet! Lastly, the Earthen Pillar is the really deadly part of the whole fight. You'll see this very large graphic on the ground, and then when it goes off, you will get one shot if you are still in it. Obviously this falls under the don't stand in crap part, but it also can cause line of sight issues as it leaves the pillar up. This can get tricky later when you have a bunch of the motes doing this. For completeness, I guess I'll mention Accretion. This is basically the boss absorbing those vortexes from earlier, along with other nearby earth. It gives him a buff, but as you damage him, it removes the stacks. It really didn't seem to be that important of a mechanic, at least on Heroic. So there we are for the mechanics of the fight. Really, Phase 1 is about bursting him down along with the adds. At some point, he'll get to 100 energy, and you likely won't get him killed before it goes off, so you'll start a hopefully small cycle of getting him to 100 energy, and then doing the Tectonic Upheaval. If you're clear of adds and have the DPS for it, try to light up cooldowns and even maybe Bloodlust to burst him down during the window of Tectonic Upheaval. It didn't seem possible to get him to 0 health without him gaining energy fast enough to start doing the earthquake and be killed. So really, much of the first part is trying to place the earthen pillars so as to not screw up your raid positioning. So some groups talked about going along the outside in the first phase to make sure the earthen pillars got dropped out there. That's probably the best approach. Otherwise, this is really about picking up adds, killing them off, and then picking the right time to push the boss and shatter him during Tectonic Upheaval. After that, you have to deal with the 2 shards. Given that the motes didn't seem to have much health, at least on beta, groups seem to just push both shards at the same time and then deal with the 8 motes together. It might be that the tuning of the shards or the motes is increased, in which case you probably would want to do each shard separately, thus not handling a ton of mechanics at the same time. Regardless, the only dangerous part here is just avoiding 2 of everything, so watch for 2 earthen pillars, and watch for the healing checks of 2 tectonic upheavals going off. I don't have footage of this, but once you get to the motes, they seem to have very little health comparatively, so really it was all about making sure the tank survives, so cool down the heck out of it and kite away from all the massive amounts of earthen pillars, fault lines, and fractures everywhere. It was even reported that the motes were stunnable. I doubt that makes it to live, but if it does, it might be a case for rotating AoE stuns. Regardless, just get down the 8 motes in total, and you win. That's it for this guide on Tectus Heroic. Once again, thank you Priestley for giving me footage of this fight. In the fight, tanks need to pick up the adds in the first phase, and then each separately pick up a shard, and then popping major cooldowns to survive the motes. Healers should watch for the damage of tectonic upheaval, and watch tanks when shards and motes start coming out. DPS, just watch your feet constantly. Thanks for watching, and as always, please comment, like, and or subscribe to the video if you found it helpful, and have a good one!